going out there? It's March 8th. I'm Frank Curzio, it's the Wall Street Unplugged podcast where I break down headlines and tell you what's really moving these markets. So it's gymnastics competition time. My daughter does competitive gymnastics. In March, it's a crazy month, and into April. We travel almost every single weekend to go to a competition. And most of these competitions are in Georgia. We're like right on the border. My daughter goes to a school in Georgia, which is 30 minutes away from us. And some of these places we have to drive 4 or 5 hours away. One's like by Atlanta, another place in the middle of nowhere. And 2 weeks ago, not too bad, the competition was at Jekyll Island, beautiful place. We'll hang out there for a little bit. It's only about an hour away. Last weekend, it was at Savannah. It's 2 hours away. We've been there a few times now to competitions. Big gym there, and the convention center they have, it's pretty cool. It's nice. Next month, the final competition is going to be in Orlando. But the one last weekend I went to Savannah, I mean, what a racket. There was like 3,000 girls in the competition. Right? And they're different divisions. I think it's spread out through 2 sessions. So we're looking at 5 to 6 hours. And they charge $20 per person to get in. So you have at least one family member there who's going to drive the child. On average, it's probably like 2 or 3. So let's say even at $40 per family, that's $120,000. Of which, by the way, they only accepted cash at the door. You have to love that. They also charge $5 for parking, which is another $15,000. So the food, drinks, you calculate everything. Again, I shouldn't really be doing this, but that's what I do as an analyst. Gives you a better perspective of the economy, what people are spending on. But they're basically, this place raking in $150,000 for like 2 sessions. I looked for a 5-6 hour event. Again, in cash. One event. But you look at these kids' travel teams, what a business. You families out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have young kids. Basketball, baseball, gymnastics. When it comes to your kids' parents, will do anything. They'll pay a fortune. And when we travel, we got to stay at hotels. Hotels are very expensive now. You're buying food. You stay for a couple days. And we pay thousands of dollars for this. Again, when you look at leotards, practice, one-on-one coaching sessions, not just the hotels, food, travel, all that stuff. And it's a fortune. And maybe in a sport like basketball, I get it. You might be able to get you a scholarship to college. Give over 1,000 schools in D1, D2, D3. They're going to offer scholarships for you. You can play professionally overseas. A lot of my friends did that I played against. There's money leagues. I mean, it's so hard to make it on a professional level, but there's other ways to make money playing basketball. People do. When it comes to gymnastics, though, and you look at hundreds of thousands of girls competing, there's only about 60 Division I colleges that have gymnastics programs. Only 60. And if you're really, really good and you have your hopes on the Olympics, they take 24 girls, of which 6 will get a chance to actually compete. If you're the last Olympics, Jerome Powell, what did you bow out of the Olympics? Since you have mental problems or whatever, the greatest gymnast ever. The girl that took her place on the U.S. team finished 8th overall. She was a substitute for you. She finished 8th overall in the world, out of the 24 best in the world that competed in overall. 8th. That's how hard it is to make it. But what a business. And we all love watching our kids. I'm watching my daughter. Her best event is a floor. She got a 9.1 last weekend, where she got the bronze. However, they don't call it a bronze medal. It's not the bronze. They call it 3rd place. Not a bronze. Since there are 12 places in her group, that's how many people competed on her level. So everyone gets a medal. And I hate this. And a lot of people say they hate it, but you really do. Even though you see a kid and if they don't get a medal, you're going to be upset. And when I played basketball, that made me better. You had to earn your trophy. Couldn't walk on a team without knowing how to dribble a basketball and get a trophy just for showing up. With that said, when I'm going to these events, you know why they give 12th-place medals. It's a business. If they didn't, young girls and boys would be upset because their friends got medals. I didn't get a medal, and I'm going to quit. I'm not going to go in this. I mean, you know, it make it easy for kids to quit nowadays. There's so much negative. Instead of working hard, trying to be great, and working your ass off to finish fourth, which is a valuable, extremely valuable lesson. Just by doing that, even though you don't get a medal, it's like, oh, I didn't get a medal, this and that. So let's give medals to everybody. So everybody goes home with medals and they're showing them and everything is pretty cool, even though it's 11, 12, it doesn't matter. Again, you get it because it's a business. As long as you can deal with the parents who are absolutely insane, some of them, and most believe their child is an absolute superstar, you'll be okay. Because I see that in basketball all the time. When I was a ref, it was insane. And parents would be yelling at me, yelling at the coaches. They'll approach the coach as a child is crying, saying, how come you don't play that more? And the coach is like, all right, my fault. I'll play a little bit more next game. Or they're going to get fired. In my day, first of all, parents really didn't come to the games that much. It wasn't because my parents were bad. I had a great relationship with my parents. I love my parents. But they were busy. We had 3 kids. It was tough. Working. Both of them working. It's hard to drive your kids everywhere and go to the games. They basically barely had any free time. Maybe on a Saturday, and they're like, all right, you play, you have fun. But if they ever went up to the coach and asked why they didn't play much, the coach would say, because your son sucks. He's not good enough. I mean, all the other kids on the team, they're dribbling, they're shooting every single day. Your kid hasn't picked up a ball in 2 weeks other than practice. You have him here because you want to get him out of the house. You maybe want some alone time. You don't want him to TV. But he has to practice if he wants to play. But sorry, you got to get better. That's the way it was. Today, it's different when it comes to youth sports. Again, a lot of you parents out there, frankcurzresearch.com, probably getting emails about this. It's different. And to me, understanding the money business aspect of it, I get it. But to the bigger point, much, much bigger point, I'm not sure we're teaching our kids about the real world by rewarding them for being mediocre. I just don't get it. But maybe it's me. I do love watching her compete. It's a lot of fun. It's awesome. Yeah, she gets a little upset. She doesn't get a medal here and there. But man, she's gotten progressively better, harder, working harder. She loves to compete. She wants to beat her friends. I love it. It's a great, valuable lesson. But man, just rewarding everyone for just showing up, I don't know. We all say we don't like it, but it is going to continue because the business behind travel sports is absolutely massive. It's so many people make $150,000 in 6 hours in cash. In cash. How great is that? That's a pretty decent business. Anyway, let's get to the markets. And what do we see? Yesterday, Powell came out, testified in front of the House panel. Unfortunately, he's there today, the second day, which is extremely boring. The reason why they have it live on all the financial media programs, if you're watching, or you have it in the background, or wherever you're doing with your job, is because earnings season is basically over and there's nothing else to talk about. So we have to listen to all this garbage and all the grandstanding by politicians and jobs. You keep raising rates, we're going to lose billions of jobs. And yes, it's true, but you have to control inflation because it's going to get a lot worse for those people. Sounds familiar, right? What have we been saying? There's no easy solution for this. The markets have fundamentally changed. We said as soon as Powell said, it's not transitory, we're going to have aggressively raised rates. It's a different market. We haven't been here pretty much in the career of most people that are going to give you advice over 12, 13 years. They've never lived in an environment with higher interest rates, no easy money policy, money being flooded into the markets. See places like Dave & Buster's, Five Below, discretionary places surge. I went to Dave & Buster's yesterday with my kids. All of a sudden, they started charging taxes on the money that you put on the cards. So you used to put $100 on each card. We go several times, going for 10 years of this place. So the more money you put on the cards, the more free tokens you get, right? Which is money for played video games. You put it on the card and, we'll go. And I'd rather do that, get more and go 2, 3, 4 times when they spend it. Now they're charging you a sales tax on that. That's not like Florida law or anything. Usually, if you charge something and maybe you make it up other ways, you're going to raise price. It's really a shitty thing to do to your customers. I was really pissed. My wife actually went up and said, really? We have to get charged $15 for those 2 cards, an extra $15 for those 2 cards now? And I know a lot of people have been complaining. We don't know what to do about it. But you're going to see this with more businesses because as we went there, 25% of the games didn't work. There was hardly anybody there. So you're getting much worse service, and yet they continue to raise prices and squeeze out as much money as they can. You're going to see that from business to business and business. And what happened to me is they lost me as a customer for doing something so stupid. It's not that it's $15, but still, it pissed me off that You're raising prices for the games. You're raising prices here. I don't care about raising prices. I understand the business aspect. Believe me, I understand how most businesses run. I get it. I've been doing this for 30 years. But there's ways to do it where provide more value for your customer if you're going to charge them more. Don't give them worse service. Don't take more items off a menu at your favorite restaurant and your bill is 40% higher than it was 24 months ago. Probably much higher than that. But that's what we're seeing. It's a result in people saying, you know what? I'm not going to go to that restaurant anymore. I'm going to go someplace else. And that's the next trend that you're going to see. It's going to happen because you can only take out so many employees out of the marketplace before it impacts business. Yes, you're going to see earnings go up temporarily, and that's good. But you need to see that top line growing, which we're not seeing, especially based on this past earnings season. Earnings are starting to come down despite all these layoffs. But getting back to Powell, which yesterday, basically a 180 from 30 days ago when he was interviewed at the event in Washington, D.C. Kind of reminded me of my wife. She's going through menopause. I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hot, I'm cold. Turn on the TV. Turn it louder. I can't hear it. Turn it lower. Back and forth. Like this is all like within a day. But the back and forth from Powell 30 days ago, right? The Sesame Street word of the day, the one he used, which the market loved, disinflation, disinflation. All it means is inflation is coming down. Disinflation. Disinflation has begun. That's what he said. We expect 2023 to be a year of significant declines in inflation. That's what he said 30 days ago. His overall demeanor at the meeting, Daniel and I covered that. It was kind of like joking and he was laughing. I feel like he was taking like a victory lap and everybody was happy about it. And the markets, they ate it up. You look at Fed funds futures, right? Pricing in what they believe the rate's going to be in the future. After that meeting, they were pricing in just one more rate hike and a terminal rate, a peak rate of 4.8%. The futures were also pricing in for rate cuts starting in September. That's not that far away. If you've watched the financial media outlets that day, which that's our job, see what's going on. Most economists, market pundits, they were all in agreement. Hey, one more hike. The Fed's almost done. Rick Santoli, respect him a lot in the bond market. He said, hey, I think this is it. We're done. The Fed's not raising rates anymore after this, which is fine. That's what he said. And I kind of see why he said it. Again, 30 days ago, right? Powell's really like, giddy, happy, excited. Yesterday, Powell changed his tune. He said there's little sign of disinflation. That's different from what you said 30 days ago. Inflation's running hotter than expected. That's different from what you said 30 days ago. Inflation reversed the deceleration trend. Again, I'm quoting him here. Again, different from what you said 30 days ago. And what happened after yesterday's meeting? The Fed funds, the futures, they were pricing in the likelihood of one more rate hike to now pricing in over a 60% chance of a 50 basis point hike when they meet a couple of weeks from now, along with, hey, no cut this year. Now the terminal rate is projected to be 5.5%. 5.5%. Think about that. That's a 75 basis point hike in interest rates that's now expected compared to just 30 days ago. You need to understand the significance of that. Because if we look prior to COVID, so if we look pre-2020, the last time we saw the Fed make a 75 basis point move in the Fed funds rate, increase or decrease, prior to 2020, was November 1994. One time. Close to 30 years. And good luck going back. You're going to have to go back, I think, to the 80s. That's rare. Yet just 1 month. We'll look from February 7th to today. The market went from pricing in a terminal rate of 4.8% to now 5.5%. Now, in all fairness, I'm not picking on Powell here, because a lot has changed over the past month. Look at the data, CPI, PPI, PCE indicator. All inflation gauges the Fed watches closely came in much, much, much hotter than expected. And they say, well, maybe it's the weather. It was nice. Record weather in January, maybe. But now what do we have? The CPI is coming out next week. And you could tell by his tone, it's not going to be pretty. Already analysts are raising estimates for the CPI. And that's an indicator that was going down, nice pace, and now it's not. It's not going down the pace that they want to see it. And all while wages and jobs remain strong, which is puzzling. It's like, what's going on? Well, the data, I don't get it. Why aren't more people losing their jobs? We're seeing these layoffs, but in the services sector, more people are hiring and you're losing more jobs in the technology sector. You look at used car prices. The Manheim Index came out yesterday. Did you see that? Used car prices are starting to surge again. This is like several months, but the February to February increase was the largest since 2008. Does that sound like inflation's moderating? How come we're not seeing food prices go lower? How come we're not seeing a major decline in home prices, even though mortgage rates have surged? How come rentals aren't coming down quicker? In some areas, seen a little bit. People say, well, in real time, if you look at the data, real time what? You let me know. I just got rent. My mom is selling her house. That's that border. And she's moving to the Villages. And she's deciding to rent over there. And let me tell you, the rentals aren't coming down at all. And we've been looking. She just locked in a place, but she's been looking for 3-4 months. 3-4 months. In the prime of this, where rates have gone significantly higher, we're supposed to see a decline in rents. We're not seeing it. Good luck. People looking for rent to pay rent? You're really seeing a decline? Like, you're really saying, oh, I'm going to wait a couple months, it's going to go lower? But again, all fairness to Powell, what has happened in the past 30 days? Look at a 2-year from 4.1% a month ago to 5%. That is unheard of. That does not happen. 30-year mortgage, 5.9% a month ago. It's over 7%. Do you know how many items go into a house when you purchase it? Believe me, I know this. I know this well. And I'm going to know it even weller. I'm going to make up words because I'm moving into my house in 2 weeks. And yes, we have to get a lot of furniture. But if you have homes that are purchased and that transition into buying new appliances for the new home or cameras or whatever you're going to buy, TVs, upgrade anything, gone. Yet home prices staying high. Why? Because supply is relatively low. That's why the home builders are still doing pretty well. I don't know if you should be trading at 52-week highs, demand falling off a cliff, doing a good job selling existing homes, paying points, giving away a lot of free shit to new people. I get it. Because that existing year, 18-month supply in the market that they have. But man, 6 months from now, what are they going to do? So a lot has changed for Powell to actually come on and have this face on. And you're going to have that face on, I guess, because last meeting he was one-on-one, this interview, the guy was kind of joking around and laughing, and now you're getting grilled by Congress. Just, again, it's all an agenda with Congress, as you can see. Last time this happened, it was when the Republicans were in charge 20 years ago. Whatever, all the bullshit back and forth. Nobody cares. Politicians make money, bullshit, all garbage. But he's not too happy today. Now, the bigger point here, guys, is the Fed's current strategy. Raise rates by small increments now, where the U.S. economy will have a soft landing. It's not working. Been adamant that we will not have a soft landing. It cannot happen. It's impossible. It's impossible. To control out of control inflation, you need to force a recession. Most of the time, it's going to be a deep recession. You have to make conditions extremely worse where demand falls off a cliff, unemployment rises, people drastically cut back spending. You're not seeing that, and you're not going to see that with these smaller rate hikes. Why? Why is it different this time? Because you injected $11 trillion into this market and handed it directly to businesses and consumers this time. You didn't hand it to the banks, who decided who they're going to lend to and not, and have the greatest balance sheets on record. And most of the large banks are 3x to 5x bigger than they were during the credit crisis, where they're able to kick businesses out of their banks without any questions being asked. That's another rant you guys probably know about. And what do the banks do? Hey, let's raise dividends and buy back our stock. Since we can only lend out a certain amount, we have to be careful. Our capital ratios have to be in line with Dodd-Frank now and all this. So we have all this, okay, what are we going to do? Well, let's buy back stock, make more money for ourselves. Great system they got in place there. But this time it's different. Where's the money going? Right to people. They spent it like crazy. They still have some money on the sidelines. And yes, when they see their savings dwindle, they still have a lot of money. They're much richer than they were 2 years ago, even though their portfolios are down a little bit from their highs, down more than a little bit from their highs. Their home price is starting to decline. Probably a little worried about their job right now. You should be, no matter what job it is. Especially if you're making above average money, you should worry. Could easily be replaced by someone making half as much, especially if your job skills are not great and you're not a necessity. Some people are. Most people, maybe not so much. You thought you were until the company's cutting costs because there's no way they can meet this inflated earnings expectations. But if you're looking at this playbook of a soft landing, it's impossible. These conditions have to get worse, and the Fed knows that now. And if you're looking at what's the playbook is the late 70s and 80s, and they made a huge mistake trying to do what Powell's doing right now, have a soft landing. Because when the Fed thought they had inflation under control, it was by significantly raising rates in 1978 and into 1979, halfway, mid-year. They thought they had it under control, and they started lowering rates, like right away. And it bit the Fed in the ass. Inflation came roaring back into 1980, and the Fed had to raise rates aggressively again. And a lot of people got crushed. Markets got crushed. Everybody got hurt during that time. It's very, very difficult. But that's the playbook. It wasn't, hey, there's no soft landing here. And Powell was saying last meeting, to be fair, he was saying, look, we've got to raise rates. We got to go high. Just the market was like, he's full of shit. They might not raise rates again, and we're good, and inflation's under control. Like, he was saying it. I just don't like the fact that he used the term disinflation, and now he's like, we don't have disinflation. Because that's a change. Remember, we're looking at a guy that every word matters because he's the most powerful person on earth. He controls the global economy based on what his organization is going to do with rates. And if you look at inflation, it's like having fleas in your house. You can't kill 85% of them. Sure, you see the difference and be like, all right, the house is better. That's okay. There's less fleas in your home. But they're going to come back even stronger unless you eradicate them. With inflation, you need to kill it. You can't just pretend you're killing it. You can't just go, oh, halfway. Oh, okay, we're looking good. No. It's this thing that's always going to come back unless you destroy it. It has to be destroyed. In order to destroy it, it's pedal to the metal. And that's what you did early on, and it seemed to be working, the 75 basis point hikes. But now that you slow down, it's not working. There's just too much money in the system still. And you're seeing that. People continue to spend. Prices continue to go higher. Again, you're not paying for anything right now. Maybe gasoline prices might be a little bit lower. But from last month to this month, are any of your bills lower? They're not lower over the past 3 months. Definitely over the next 6, 9 year, 2 year, 3 years, right? But even over the past month. Did you look at your bills and go, holy shit, man, everything's lower now? No. Prices are not coming down. Go shopping, get food, go places, go out to a restaurant, go to a hotel where they're going to charge you, $80 a night in incidentals just to walk into the hotel on top of whatever you booked it and whatever site you booked it at, even if it's their own. Charging more and more and more and more fees. That's what you're seeing everywhere, much less service. But you're not seeing inflation come down, especially as fast as they want it to, and they know it. And this CPI rating, or this CPI reading, which is going to happen next week, it's going to come in hotter than expected. We're expecting it. They're going to talk about it. They're going to talk it up. They already linked to the Wall Street Journal. So they do whenever they have something that they have to say that, just to prepare the markets for. But it's significant. It's telling you rates are going higher. And you have to adjust. And what does that mean to you and your portfolio? It's significant. Yesterday's news with the Fed, it wasn't priced into the markets. That's why you saw the Fed funds futures pricing in a 50 basis point cut. Something we've been saying pretty much 2 months ago that they should be doing. When now we saw after the last meeting that some people saying, okay, they're done. Now they're going to go 50 basis points. Again, this wasn't priced into the market, so the market got hit a little bit, but it is going to get hit. I mean, you'd let me know what the catalyst is to buy stocks right now. Let me know. What's the catalyst to buy stocks? They're not cheap. They're more expensive than they are almost any other time when you factor in interest rates, almost any other time of the past 20 years, 25 years. when you're really looking at the returns that are expected compared to the risk-free rate. And it's called the equity risk premium. Look at it. It's at the lowest level. You expected 1.5%. You usually expect 4% gains annually over whatever the risk-free rate is. But the risk-free rate of 6-month T-bills is 5%. So if you're going into stocks, when you know you get 5% for free, when you know all this shit going down, I didn't even mention the fight that these guys are going to have politically, these assholes are going to have, right, back and forth, raising a debt ceiling. Russia making much more progress in Ukraine. How much money we're going to give Ukraine, going to continue to fund them. They're not going to win that war. They won't. Again, looking from a market perspective, not, again, a lot of people are dying. It's war. Jeez. But we're not factoring that. We're not factoring our ties with China right now. Geopolitical risks. Not even talking about that. China reopening. Did you see their latest numbers? Really? Everyone's stocks have been going higher like everything's great over there. Did you see the imports and exports? The exports down 10%, imports down, was it 5%? Both more than expected? Really? Because that's compared to last year, and I would think that you reopen, those numbers should be booming, and they're not when you compare to last year, when conditions, again, weren't that good. So where are we seeing the reopening and this whole, China growth? That's where the growth's coming from. I don't see it in the data. I don't know who sees it in the data. Show me data points. The debt, they're trying to flood money with cash. Doing everything they can to stimulate that market, but based on the data, you're not seeing it. Not even talking about those risks. But what Powell said yesterday is significant to your portfolio. Again, I'm not talking about the obvious risks with higher rates, slowdown in business. There's another major factor we learned from Powell's testimony yesterday that's going to result in a lot of big names that are likely in your portfolio that are going to get smoked come next earnings season. And this is definitely not being priced into those names. So in tomorrow's Wall Street Unplugged Premium podcast, me and Daniel are going to list more than 20 of these big cat names that some of the most widely held stocks in the world that you should be buying puts on right now, based on what Powell said yesterday. The Wall Street Unplugged Premium, that's our new service we launched. It's a brand new podcast hosted by Daniel Creech and myself. Membership includes the Dollar Stock Club. Daniel and I recommend a trading idea every single week. Provide deep analysis of this idea during the podcast, and then we'll send you a one-page report, a write-up along with a buy-up to price and a stop loss. This could be a put. This could be a call. It could be crypto. Any place that we see value that you can make money on as a trading idea in a Dollar Stock Club portfolio. It's included in Wall Street Unplugged Premium. Also included is access to my Frankly Speaking podcast, which anyone who subscribes to any of our services gets. But there's a Q&A where subscribers ask me any question they want. I'll answer. It's usually cool. You can ask me anything you want, not just about stocks, but we get great, great questions. That podcast is published every Friday. Again, also included Wall Street Unplugged Premium. Also having exclusive interviews, releasing our first this week, where I interviewed a CEO of a publicly traded metaverse company, where he's giving plots of land away for his new metaverse for free. It's going to get all of that, Wall Street Unplugged Premium, and we're just charging $10 a month. That's it. If you're interested in subscribing, you go to WSUoffer.com. You can subscribe for 1 month and say, Frank, you know what? I don't like this product, whatever. You can cancel it anytime. It's very easy. No questions asked. But you probably won't, because the detail, the analysis that I know you're not going to find on any other podcast is there. Plus, you get access to a lot of products, special interviews, and a lot of great stuff, especially Dollar Stock Club. That's a great, great newsletter. Trading ideas every single week. So our first Wall Street Unplugged Premium podcast was last week, and we recommended our first trade of many. You can see every single week in that portfolio. Again, if you're interested in learning more, go to WSUoffer.com. So for you, Wall Street Unplugged Premium members, I'll see you tomorrow with that list of 20-plus names that are likely to get smoked when they report earnings, which the next earnings season is going to come just a couple months. And we're going to send a trading idea of what we think the best way to play this market. I'll see you guys then. Take care.